Father Maloney, Rector Father Bruce Bradley, Mr. Lawrence Shields, members of the faculty, proud parents, distinguished guests, and above all, fellow students. First of all, I'd like to say thank you. Not only has Clongowes given me great honour, but the weeks of worry and anxiety in preparing this talk has made my leaving cert appear simple. So all I'll do now is just imagine I'm back at the senior club final. Actually, I have racked my heart and mind for what I ought to say here today. What are the important lessons we have learned in the 6 years that have expired since we walked through the gates to our castle? And I've come up with 3 things. Firstly, thank you. Now I'm sure you're all familiar with the story of the ugly duckling, and I am equally sure that you will agree that our class epitomises that story. However, much like this fable, we too have a magnificent ending, and this is because you never gave up on us. From the outset, we had support and guidance from all our prefects. Now, reminiscing back, and the lads did help me out with this bit, there are great memories to treasure, but they have been appropriately filtered for today. Mr. Fagan, who returned to his alma mater to take care of the new incoming rudiments. Having only recently graduated himself, he knew exactly how to shift the fatigued first year from his bed. The image of hauled-out duvets along the middle of the corridor with shivering, complaining bodies fighting to get them back will be a permanently etched memory. In 2005, the very fair, kind, devoted Mr. Reedy arrived from the Clongowes. He arrived in Clongowes to look after us in grammar. He ran a very tight ship with a very clear escalating gradient of punishment. Ranging from no bank to you'll be sweeping the corridors for a week to the absolute torture of this is it lads, no swim for 3 nights. In syntax, Mr. Lewis took up the mantle. He always told us that if he wasn't prefecting us, he would be playing number 10 of the Australian rugby team. But please note that he had his priorities in order. In humanities, we were very ably guided by Mr. Tony Egan. Now I've been asked to make a public apology to Mr. Egan on behalf of Conor Kelly. That surprise water balloon from Pandora's box in the second year in the phone booth was in fact not intended for you. He does apologise. Thank you, Mr. Egan, for bringing us to Europe, for organising the duck push and taking care of us during humanities. In poetry, we have to be on guard. We will miss Father Sexton's wit, humour, but most of all, his extensive vocabulary when displeased or describing awkward situations. Thank you, Father Sexton. Now this year, we were guided by both Father Pearson and Mr. Kelly. Father Pearson has always, and is always, keenly aware that we need all the help we can get. He has always been on hand to give us advice, and his kindness and understanding of lads our age is unparalleled. But this brings me on to Mr. Kelly. Where do we bring in the memories we have accumulated? As one newly arrived rudiment lad was heard to say, he's the glue that keeps all this stuff together. and only from his complete absence from the school were we assured of a full-on 5-day test cricket match on the corridor during study. Thank you, sir. We also need to express our appreciation to all the teaching staff who form the matrix of our privileged education. An education that involves music and drama, music that transcends the scales from the orchestral heights of Rome to our solo halftime performance of our very own Andrew Hegarty. An education that brings real living and real giving and real charity to life and affords us the experience of working in a social outreach programme, SRPA, Children's Holiday Club and a well-renowned Duck Hush. An education that goes way beyond the boundaries of Clongowes, that brought us on foreign ventures to Eastern Europe, France, Germany, where we will all remember John O'Grady's Naked Mile. And even further into the uncharted territories of that legendary Katie night from Mount Sackville. A spiritual education that transcends daily life, making experiences like Kairos, Taizé and Lesotho a reality. An academic education that goes way beyond the normal school day into the realm of sophisticated, erudite academies, applied maths competitions and highly contentious debates in French, English, agus as Welga. An education not learnt in any classroom, but an education learnt on the sports field. Our winning Senior Cup team this year, captained by Robert Hines, clearly embodies all attributes of a great Clongowes team. Determination, friendship, teamwork, character, moral fibre and tremendous fighting spirit. All qualities instilled into the team, into the panel and into all Clongowes rugby players by our very able coaches throughout the years. However, all sports in Clongowes boast these attributes, and our own Senior Cup soccer team this year, very ably led by Sean Buckley, is testament to this. Now, taking our note of appreciation one step further, all of this works, and all of this education is possible because the wheels of our school turn smoothly. The grounds we play on and the grounds of our school are very well looked after. Thank you, Mr. Keenan, all of your staff, and of course, Justin Deegan. Year in and year out, our very efficient administration staff keep these wheels well oiled. Thank you, Bernie, Mary, Rachel and Irene, Mr. Ray Kenny and all the administration staff. And at this point, I'd like to mention Mrs. Claire Keane, who sadly passed away this year. Now, 262,842 is the number of meals cooked by Anne Cook and her catering staff for our class in Jerusalem Day 1. So I guess we need to say 250,000 thank yous. Medically, we've been very well looked after, with 24-hour cover by Jessica Weld, Marina Malloy and Deirdre Murray. We are very grateful for this, but perhaps no more grateful than Robbie Carr, whose knees will simply never survive the 6 years of rigorous rolling moles. Now, sending your son, aged 12, to boarding school has got to be one of the most selfless acts any parent can do. It takes strength and love to stand by and watch us grow up under the careful eye of the collective staff of Clongowes. But please know that by God we have had some crack. Thank you, mums, dads, guardians and grandparents. My final thank you. On the 18th of May 1814, the first Clongowes student, James McLaurin, stood on the threshold of Clongowes, as we today on the 30th of May 2010 are standing on the same threshold. From that day to this, the Jesuits, who are deemed intellectual stormtroopers of the Catholic faith, have ensured that their strong ethos be handed down through generations of Clongonians, transcending all areas of academia. The notion of men for others has also travelled this journey, and is today perfectly epitomised in all Brother Chow's work with the poor and aged to claim. We are very grateful and very privileged for this. So I'd like to extend our gratitude to Father Bruce Bradley and the community. We have indeed been very well looked after, very well moulded, and have received a very fine education. Secondly, in racking my heart and mind, I note that as we are standing on the brink of a new life, a life that promises exhilaration, stimulation, freedom, girls, more freedom, fast pace and excitement. However, before we inherit these keys, we need to think a little about kindness. It is easy to be kind to people when we stand to gain or benefit, but when we have to sacrifice, suffer or endure because of our kindness, that is when we discover true kindness, the kindness that takes courage. Whether in the dorms, when we stand by the intimidated, or in the future when we will stand by the powerless, we will be drawing on this courageous kindness that we learned here in Clongowes. Kindness and courage are of the utmost importance in our world. And finally, my third point. We know that there has been a lot of criticism of the privilege of a private education. So we need to be keenly aware of the responsibility that goes hand in hand with that privilege. I have no doubt in my mind that sitting in front of me today are future journalists, doctors, business leaders, politicians, lawyers, and yes, maybe even Jesuits. Because we carry the power, and we have been given the tools, and we carry the power within ourselves. With the education we have received, with our intelligence, with our kindness, with our courage, and if we choose to identify not only with the powerful, but also with the powerless, if we choose to raise our voices on behalf of those with no voice, we will have justified our privileged education. We will make an impact way beyond our borders. Not only will our proud parents celebrate our existence, but also the people whose lives will have been touched through our kindness. So I leave you with real men, real change, real kindness. And on behalf of Robbie, James and myself, good luck to all of us next month in the forthcoming quiz. Kaboom. Thank you.